Hello, Dr. Sonja Ann Miller. You go by Sam, your initials. Thank you for being here with the University Library to talk about open education resources. Why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, the classes that you teach here, the department that you're in, and maybe a little bit about how you've used open education materials in your coursework.
Okay, so I am a visiting assistant professor, and the department is psychology. I have taught abnormal psychology here, health psychology, the psychology of child development, and introductory psychology here, and African American psychology, which is brand new.
Wow, that's excellent.
I'm proud to say that I use OER materials for all of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
So I've had to create.
So, how have you seen that maybe benefit the overall curriculum and the students in your classes?
Firstly, the students are very happy not to buy a textbook, which saves them about anywhere between $200 and $400, sometimes $500
A class.
a class.
That's great. And you can multiply that by each student in the
That's right.
class.
That's right.
And then each semester you're doing this.
That's right. And the biggest compliment that I received this semester was thanking me for doing that regardless of socioeconomic status, just providing that for every student in the class, period.
So, is the word out there that people don't have to go buy expensive textbooks when they take your class?
That's
Because
right.
I think that would be a huge benefit. Because the cost of textbooks we've seen, and especially with
That's right.
inflation, have really skyrocketed over the years.
Right. Not only the cost of the textbook, so knowing that if you take a course with me, you probably won't need a textbook, but also that the course design is so user-friendly that it's pretty, accessible, to anyone. And so the word gets out that, and I thank that to getting started with OER because it's helped me design my classes better. And when it comes to accessibility, I've improved on that. And so I got started with the design that I currently have through using OER.
How did you begin making and creating OER for your classes?
Well, I got started very simply, and that was by looking through the OERs that were available
Okay.
and which ones that I can use for class. So introductory psychology is something that's been around for a long time with OER. So I got started that way. But then I thought, how can I use OER for specialized courses? And so I was lucky enough to get a grant to write my own textbook.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that grant?
Yep, SUNY put it out there that they were looking for authors to create OER material for courses that they didn't have OER for yet. So the more you go up in psychology, I started out with abnormal psychology, creating the fewer options there are out there. There are a few things that were outdated, but work needed to be done. So I started off that way, and directly through SUNY, the Department of OER, and it was a nice stipend that I got. And so I was told to use any of the open materials that were out there, anything that had a Creative Commons license, and so I did. I pulled from various places, and I put together a whole textbook for abnormal psychology. And right as I was ending, a publication, I guess you would say, a publisher that exclusively deals with OER, it's called Lumen Learning.
Yes, I've heard of Lumen.
So I used Lumen Learning for introductory psychology, and then very quickly they were interested in creating an abnormal psychology course. So I finished up my own book and then became one of their, what do they call it? They call it a subject expert.
Okay.
I became one of their subject experts
On open education resources?
on open educational
Okay.
resources, and they needed a lifespan development and they needed, or developmental psychology, and they needed abnormal psychology. And I worked with them on both of those projects as one of the authors.
It's fascinating, and I would have no idea that there were grants out there that would allow you to start developing your own textbook. So that segues nicely into one of my last questions, which is encouraging other instructors to adopt OER. What advice would you give to them, especially knowing that potentially there might be grant money out there for you to develop your own OER? And how does it really overall benefit the curriculum and the students, and maybe even the way you provide access to these materials in various formats?
Right. So I would say get started very simply by going through the OER that's available through the library. Just click on your subject and find out what's out there, because we're not asking you to start creating right away. There might be something that's already been done, and as far as grants are concerned, that's probably a time that's already evolved.
Okay.
If some other opportunities are out there,
Right.
we'll probably find out. But for right now, there was that period of time when it was about getting the subject material out there, right? So now it's pretty complete. I mean, I guess there might be some specialized things that are missing.
Yeah.
But people have been very active.
People have been active,
Yes.
but we did have COVID. So do you
Right.
wonder if, because people were learning now more
COVID was
remotely,
the perfect time to keep
right?
writing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep making,
That's
creating,
right.
putting things out
Right.
for the students.
So I used my time during COVID to transform classes that I couldn't find OER material for. Health psychology, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Cognitive psychology, right?
Yep.
So I found some things, but not what I needed. So therefore, there was a time that the library, and over at the Hudson Valley campus,
Okay.
the library was, I guess, giving incentives for people to find OER material to adapt their courses, but then you would write to SUNY OER, ask them for a sort of platform for you, and then you would just pull in materials that you needed, but it's your course design, right? So that's what I did for health psychology. I pulled from this source and that source and created my course. And I did the same for cognitive psychology, and I did the same for African American psychology. Now, what happened for lifespan development and abnormal psychology and introductory psychology, because I worked with Lumen, I was able to use their specialized courseware,
Okay.
and that they call it a Waymaker course. So for any of the SUNY schools, for right now, there's a partnership with them, and it's free of cost for our students. And for professors, this is what I would highly advise, is giving it a try.
Okay.
It's called a Waymaker course.
Waymaker. Yeah.
And give it a try and see how you like it. Now, for me personally, it's improved my course delivery, especially online courses, and all during COVID. It saved my life because I was quickly able to adapt all of my coursework from in class to online, just because in this Waymaker course, we made PowerPoints, assignments, discussions, and interactive material through the textbook, so to speak, online textbook. So videos, interactives, things like that. So students are, using that very interactively. And then there are advantages for the professors as well, because you can set up giving students feedback as they take their quizzes. You can set your messages to encourage them to get more help, or you can set your messages to congratulate them for doing well, and it's very timely. And so for any of the other courses that I don't use the Lumen courseware,
Right. The whole foundation,
whole package,
the Lumen
right?
Foundation piece. Yeah.
That has taught me the importance of that timely feedback, not only for the students that are struggling, but for the students who are doing well.
Yeah.
So most of the messages that I get back from students are the ones where I send out a message saying, I'm so proud of you. You really did well on that quiz. You know,
or
keep it
as,
going.
as each chapter,
Right.
right? Each chapter, maybe there's a small quiz,
there's a small
review.
quiz.
You get a notice, and you're able to
That's
send
right.
them. You
That's
know,
right. I can set it to automatic, and it goes out for me. I've
Sounds
adapted
great.
it.
Yeah.
I've modified the message.
and it does sound more interactive, almost even
That's
a
right.
one-on-one interactive.
That's right. And
that sometimes
especially
you don't
since
get in
you,
a large.
you personalize it for,
Yeah.
each class. But, thinking of the students, then I get their reply and it just engages us. So I reply back.
Right.
And then maybe that prompts them to ask me a detailed question about some of the material. So I get right back to them. So it's taught me, about that.
Now that's interesting to me because maybe you're even having more interaction
That's
with
right.
students than you were
That's right.
before in, say, a large classroom lecture
That's right.
environment where they're kind of coming and going.
That's
now
right.
they feel like they can interact with you
That's right.
differently
That's
through
right.
email, but they're more comfortable with that interaction.
That's right. And I think they call that extra class communication,
Extra
something like.
class communication.
And I had taken a course, a workshop that they give to professors to improve your teaching, and that it talked about that extra class communication. But I had not put it to use
Right.
as much as I had before I started using OER, and before I started using the Lumen Waymaker
Yeah,
courses.
and the interactive materials. The
And the
materials
and the-
themselves are interactive,
right.
which
That's
makes
right.
you more interactive with your students and vice versa.
That's
Because we all start classes and we get the email to, say, the professor or the teacher, but to actually just sit down and email the professor,
Right.
on your own,
Right.
whereas where you're going through a textbook that's online, you're interacting maybe with each chapter or with each section.
Right.
So you would highly recommend this and encourage other professors
yes,
to
I sure
look
would.
at open education
Right.
resources.
That's right.
Excellent. And it's good for the students too. They like it. Good interaction.
They like it.